Most pole position, most podium finishes, most career points, most laps led, 7-time F1 champion with an extraordinary performance, Lewis Hamilton, the iconic driver. All the Formula 1 press and media topics this last decade was about the British talent. His record? He shows. In his races, you definitely don't get a similar star in Formula 1 every century. Sadly, when he was just about to achieve his 8th historical title to become one of the Formula 1 legendary driver, things started to turn up into a real nightmare for the 37-year-old driver. Started last season when Hamilton lost against Verstappen with last lap pass. Max Verstappen ripped a record 8th title away from Lewis with a pass on the final lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to close one of the most thrilling Formula 1 season in years as the first Dutch F1 world champion. The 7-time world champion had then to take a timeout, disappearing from all the social media until some went on saying that this was his last time on F1. But at the beginning of the 2022 season, he came out and said that he will be racing for this year too. All the Formula 1 community was waiting for a spicy season between the Red Bull with Max Verstappen and predicted a revenge from Mercedes with Hamilton, especially when Ferrari presented their new car. Fans were expecting that this trio will give a strong show. However, and against all expectation, Hamilton had a very poor and difficult start, struggling to get grips with the recently adapted Mercedes car. Things kept getting worse, especially in the last Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, where Hamilton arrived with just 28 points from 4 Grand Prix races. Far from the 2021 Hamilton, he finished 13 in Italy when Max Verstappen actually won the competition. Some voices said he must admit that his teammate George Russell is better than him. Some others have even suggested for Lewis to finish his career here and stop racing. For the direct competitor of Mercedes, Red Bull's principal didn't stop making declaration and statement about Lewis and the weak performance he's showing. Helmut Marko had even mocked the British driver recently, saying he should have stopped after last season. These declarations were largely denigrated on social media by Formula 1 fans. Hamilton finally came to answer all this, insisting that he's the only one to decide when to retire from Formula 1. Hamilton, who's currently 7th in the standing with 58 points behind the leader Charles Leclerc, stated, "I'll decide when my masterpiece is finished." Hamilton appears to respond to Marko's claim in an Instagram post on Wednesday night in the Mercedes garage with the caption, "Working on my masterpiece. I'll be the one to decide when it's finished." Despite the tough start he had to manage, a lot of Formula 1 fans and experts consider him already with his achievement as a legendary driver, some of them as the greatest Formula 1 driver of all time. If Hamilton could score his 8th title, he'd mathematically be the most successful driver in the history of this sport. For the season, Lewis kept working on and improving his performances this year, saying, "We can fix this. It's going to be a painful year that we're going to have to ride out together. There is nowhere else I want to be. Just because we have hit a rough patch, it's not in my DNA to back out." Commenting on the Marko's mocking statement addressed to Red Bull, ex-F1 driver John Watson said, "Taking digs at Lewis Hamilton is not a good look." The 75-year-old British Formula driver, who spent more than a decade in the Formula 1 and won 5 Grand Prix races, said to the Racing News 365 that Red Bull team were blatant with their mocking. To use cricket analogy, they are sledging him. All they are doing is just adding more discomfort to Mercedes and primarily Lewis. It's part of the game. It doesn't need to be maybe as blatant, because sometimes it reflects worse on you than it does on the person that you're doing it to. So it's a balance of what you say. You can make your point, but you don't have to overegg it. What does the Red Bull team aim from all this statement against Lewis? Can Lewis return in his winner spirit and shut all the critics falling on him this last period? Stay with us to know. But before this, if you aren't yet a Formula Zone member, please consider subscribing. Invite your friends and F1 fans to watch our fresh videos and activate the bell to receive all our new videos. Verstappen, the direct opponent to Hamilton, didn't actually respond to his team's declaration against Lewis, although his dad just admitted he enjoyed seeing his son lap the Mercedes man after everything that happened last year. In a connection with a contrast to last year's performance, where Verstappen and Hamilton regularly battled for victories during a campaign full of tension. On Max's official website, Verstapen the father wrote in a column, "Max had an excellent weekend in Imola. I find him incredibly strong. He didn't make a single mistake, was solid and completely in control." Red Bull clearly made a step in the right direction. Of course, we know the car would get an upgrade in Italy, but with the weather condition, it was hard to make a comparison, but we can definitely conclude that we've become stronger. Honestly, I did enjoy seeing Max lap Hamilton. After everything that happened last year, Hamilton really had a tough time, whereas his teammate George Russell seemed to be more balanced. It's not often you have the opportunity to lap a Mercedes. On the other side, Mercedes boss Toto Wolff suggested in an over-familiar way that Verstappen lapping Hamilton may make the cut in the next Netflix series Drive to Survive, saying that the moment is more something that he should be blamed for than his drivers. Netflix scene, I think? Right. At the end of the day, as the person in charge of this team, I also have to get the flag for the fact that we're not performing at the moment. That's the part of the end of the day. We've won 8 World Championship titles in a row, but we've been extremely bad coming off the blocks this year. Part of the job, you got ridden up and you got ridden down. That's the way business is. Toto Wolff said that clearly after Imola, his team is no more capable to fight for the 2022 title. He admitted that in their actual situation, talking about the title challenge is unrealistic. And he expected Mercedes to recover fast, but it doesn't look like it is the case for the Silver Arrows. Quoted by Motorsport Week, Wolff stated, "We are 4 races in this mark, the low of the 4 races. It is obvious we're not anywhere near the fight at the front. It would be pretty unrealistic to claim we have a slot among the front runners fighting for the championship. I think what we saw is we haven't got a car with enough performance differential to some of the midfield cars to overtake them. If we were running in free air, then the picture would not be any different to the previous races, but there is just not big enough gap to overtake cars. And the car is not good enough to overtake cars that are within 0.4 or 0.5 seconds in lap time performance. Far from the title, perhaps, but Mercedes have to come back in its shape for their fans and show us some good performance in Miami." Talking about the coming Miami Grand Prix, some news talk actually about the 2 race director Edward Freitas and Niels Wittich tested positive for COVID-19, which may in fact put the race in America into chaos. Niels and Eduardo replaced the sacked Michael Masi at the start of the 2022 season. The Australian was the center to the controversy last year at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which saw Max Verstappen beat Lewis Hamilton to the world title, where his action gifted Verstappen the chance to overtake Hamilton on the final lap and led stinging criticism from Mercedes, who launched 2 protests over what transpired, but both were dismissed. Wittich and Freitas both have overseen races in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Australia and Imola, but an F1 source has spoken of a serious crisis by saying, according to the Daily Mail, the FIA are totally lost as to what to do. Drivers' lives are on the line, and they don't seem to have a structure in place for the possibility that neither official is negative in time to fly. Actually, this wasn't the only problem this Grand Prix is facing. Last month, the race was about to be cancelled after Florida residents submitted a lawsuit. Miami Garden resident argued the noise produced by the race would cause a severe disruption and physical harm to Miami Garden resident. Would the Formula 1 principal find real solution before the start of this competition? Could they manage the Miami resident and the director COVID issue in the right time? Stay tuned, another adventure in the Formula 1 is about to start. That was the end of our video for today. If you have enjoyed it, all you have to do is hit the like button, comment down below in the comment section telling us your opinion about the subject and about the channel's video. See you next time!